I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Lost all ambition, worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Wanna all ambition. I've lost all ambition, worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Acclaim. Wanna all ambition. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Acclaim. Wanna all ambition. I've lost all ambition, worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Acclaim. Wanna all ambition. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love.
Brother, what? Brother, what?
Watch me burn, oh, so tell me I'm crazy.
There we go. There we go. I have it. I'm trying to think. I have a face mask in here that I can do while we edit the video I just made. I need to find the face masks. It's probably in here. I have so much skincare right now. I hope it's not in the bathroom. It shouldn't be. This is literally how much skincare I have, and I've been working at the place I've been working at for like almost 2 years, like a year and a half at least. And have this much. This isn't all skincare. I bought this. Some of this, well, no. Yeah, I guess some of this I got in my Ipsy. But I bought this. This is self-tanning stuff. But, those are under eye patches. I want to do a face mask because it's been really cold. And it's supposed to be really cold again tonight. My skin's feeling really dry. So while I edit the video, while we do other stuff, like my hair and stuff, it would be nice to do a face mask. Because I can't really do my skincare in here anyways. But we can play music. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know if we can actually listen to that. That's not what I was trying to turn on. That works. Because I'm pretty sure that music was copyrighted. But anyways, nothing at my job has really changed. Other than the person that we have as our interim manager is going to be leaving soon. And let's see what else. She's going to be leaving soon. And it's been like, I don't know, like, low-key kind of weird. It's going to be weird because my manager is not coming back for a few more months. So we're not going to have a store manager for a while. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope we still have staff when he gets back. To be so honest. It's just been insane. Like, certain people have just been able to just get away with doing whatever the fuck they want. Damn. I have so many face masks. Where are they? Also, I really want to edit this video, which is part of the reason why I'm doing it on stream, and get it posted for the potential ban of TikTok. I might have to run a face mask. There's for sure face masks in there. It's just there should be some in here too. I'm probably gonna do that. I'll be right back because I'm gonna have to turn something off anyways. So I'll be right back. have to stop because then I'm gonna have to go get the face mask still. But I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna knock on the door. I'll be right back, actually. Prosecco is actually really good. It's only like $10.99 at the grocery store that I go to. Oop. Perfect amount. It's Evia Stella Mia Prosecco. Products in Italy. And then because I really, really, really hate
But let's begin with TikTok, with so many questions after the Supreme Court ruling Friday and the fate of the app now hanging in the balance. NBC's Savannah Sellers has been following every last twist and turn. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Laura. Hey, Peter. Good morning. So the company is asking for a, quote, definitive statement to assure non-enforcement. Companies that provide services to TikTok that help make the app run want to see more in writing to assure them that they won't be hit with those potential billions in fines tomorrow if they keep up business as usual.
In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court said the TikTok ban stands. The court upholding the law passed in April that says the video sharing app had to divest from its Chinese-based parent company ByteDance or effectively be shut down in the U.S. as of tomorrow.
Always remember this moment. When you think of the future, oh, is the government going to do the right thing? No.
Some TikTok users quick to make their feelings known.
All 9 Supreme Court justices, you guys are mean bullies.
But the Supreme Court said TikTok's very popularity is part of what makes it a threat to national security, noting a foreign adversary's ability to leverage its control over the platform to collect vast amounts of personal data from 170 million U.S. users. And while the court's ruling was clear, what actually happens next is anything but. The Biden administration saying TikTok should remain available to Americans, but simply under American ownership. With a sale by Sunday seemingly all but impossible, the administration says now it won't implement the very law President Biden himself signed. Rather, it will punt next steps to the Trump administration. But TikTok warning overnight it would be forced to go dark unless service providers were given assurances the new law would not be enforced. The company's CEO hopeful about the future of TikTok under a Trump presidency, posting this message Friday.
I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States.
As president in his first term, Trump tried to ban TikTok, but has signaled support for it more recently. Trump says he spoke by phone with China's President Xi about the app and posted to social media that his decision on TikTok will be made in the not too distant future.
So today, of course, we're on high alert, waiting for any signal from the White House to see if they plan to address this. Keep in mind, though, we reported here at NBC News that the Biden administration has decided they will not collect those fines, but will they actually issue a statement saying so? Now, let's just say the app were to go dark on Sunday. That does not necessarily mean a permanent shutoff, because as the CEO said yesterday, you just heard it there, they are working with President Trump to find a solution.
Yeah, the devil in the details, of course, on that one, and what that solution looks like. But meanwhile, all these other people are going to other Chinese-owned apps, so it's going to be like whack-a-mole since the statute covers those.
That's exactly right, Laura, and that's actually the point that a lot of people are making. They're not like just looking for alternatives. It's not like, okay, I've lost hope in TikTok. What app is similar to TikTok and I want it? No, they wanted the government to recognize, hey, we're going to make these other Chinese apps go viral, because what are you going to do? Keep shutting them all down? Obviously, according to the law, they absolutely could.
Yeah. All right, Savannah, you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/all-day or click the link right here.
Okay. I have my face mask on. I'm going to put my timer on.
Love butter pecan? Let Paris Baguette sweeten your day with a lineup of butter pecan lattes, donuts, and supreme croissants. Taste the difference at your local neighborhood bakery cafe or order online at parisbaguette.com.
So this is our base. We can pause. Or we can go back actually.
But let's begin.
But this is our base coat. And then this is the color, black. And then this is our topper. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up my desk. Put a timer on, and oh yeah, I needed to download that on my computer. I wanted to finally download CapCut. There, that's why that was open. Oh, you can't get CapCut on your computer? What? I thought you could. I've heard people talk about it. Because I really don't want to edit it on my phone. No. Let's see. Maybe I have to download it like this. Dropping everything. Should I clean my desk off a little bit better, to be honest? Okay. So this is how I have to download it. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. I feel like it shouldn't. It normally doesn't take that long to download stuff on my computer. That's annoying. Okay, you know what? This makes more sense. I was like, why does it feel like that? I hate the masks that have two sides. Because one side is always harder to tell. Like, that it comes off. And I always forget when it's that kind. But that's the last mask like that I have, I think. But I've had that mask forever, so. Or this mask. At least I can have some of my drink now. And hopefully, okay. That's only like 90, okay. It shouldn't take long to edit this. And I really thought I already had this on my computer, to be fair. And we can also listen to some music and chill out while we do this. No thanks. I'm good on giving you my money, brother. Okay. I feel like I don't really need a tutorial on how to do this. I hope it downloaded it. Not have, because my phone is actually about to die. Let me pull it up on here too, because it doesn't look like it moved it over there, which that is really cool. That makes this whole process so much easier for me. So it's showing it on there. Okay, so what's okay? Why didn't you just bring that up? Why does it bring like 3 things up? That doesn't even logically make sense. If you think about it, if you type something that has a very specific name in, it should bring that very specific thing up first, in my opinion. But whatever. And this should definitely be on here. Bypass it downloading on 2 things, but whatever. Have a button on the outside of this app like how it has this, but whatever. Oh my god, why can't it just let me sign in? I sign in on this computer all the time. Like, this is literally the oh my fucking god. Brother, seriously? Okay, can you only do that then, brother? Like, what the fuck? Go back, or let me sign in, or let me, like, what the fuck? I hate when it, like, just freezes, and it's like, oh no, but you need to press these 3 other buttons, even though it won't let me sign in, or it won't let you sign in. Why did I have to press back? Why didn't it just take me back already? It should be on there, though, because I already set it to download. But let's see why it won't download, or whatever. Oh my god, seriously? Maybe if I would fucking read Why do I need to I hate when it asks you to type it in. Why can't it just send me the link already? Okay, thank you. Finally. Maybe now we can sign in. That's the right email. That's annoying. I really should have already be signed in. I'm pretty sure I've signed in on my computer about 100 times. So I don't know why I have to sign in 101 times. Ah, cool. I love it when I don't be typing. Cool. What the fuck, brother? It'll actually say signed in for once. My files. See, because they're right here, so I don't understand why it's not already downloaded onto my computer. I hope it doesn't take like forever, because I don't have it all day. It's already like 8 o'clock. I have work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, let's, I guess, watch something, and I'm gonna get some of the stuff that I'm gonna need out for my nails. That's actually really frustrating, because the whole point of me doing it this way through OneDrive or whatever the fuck was so it would already be on my computer, and so we could like bypass this, but I guess I need to do something else on OneDrive, which makes no sense because the file names are literally the same. So I don't see why it's not just on my computer, because it's the account that my computer runs on. Also, I really don't like this mask. It keeps bunching up. It's not very good. We can watch something else about.
Most homeowners have it somewhere in their house. It's that one bad window. It's drafty, or maybe it sticks or leaks. Bottom line, you'd love to replace it, but think, no company is coming out for just one lousy window. And truthfully, most companies won't. But we're Renewal by Andersen, and we're proud not to be like most companies. We'll replace just one window. Yep.
It's created, for me personally, so many different directions, so it is something that's going to be sad to lose.
I want to start tonight with a story that's going to be developing through the weekend. ABC News reporting TikTok will go dark on Sunday unless the Biden administration offers assurance of non-enforcement. This comes after the Supreme Court allowed that controversial ban to move forward. Tonight, we are hearing from Portland TikTok content creators how this could impact businesses and what they plan to do next. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for K2 News at 11, everyone. I'm Barry Mangold. TikTok is used by 170 million Americans, including people here in the Portland area. Let's get straight to K2's Victor Park, who is live in Northeast Portland for us after talking to some well-known content creators. What are they saying, Victor?
Well, Barry, here's the thing. This popular app has become a source of income for many content creators, and now they could soon be looking elsewhere.
I'm so hungry.
From food to humor and everything in between, TikTok has become a livelihood for many like Jesse Underhill.
I do comedy skits. I just do normal TikTok trends.
Underhill has gained more than 5 million followers since he began posting content as a teenager in the Dalles nearly 8 years ago.
Yeah, what you gonna say? I look at the comments and they're probably the best part of it. If I make someone's day just from, just a sheer laugh, I mean, that's the best part of it.
Others like Madison Sky use the platform to promote local shops in Portland.
I believe it's going to have an enormous effect on, even just on the Portland scale, local businesses. It's such a easy and accessible way to promote your business.
The Supreme Court ruled Friday the ban can take effect Sunday, rejecting an appeal from the app's Chinese owners, ByteDance. Justices saying the law is constitutional because Congress based it on well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices and a relationship with a foreign adversary.
And I will agree that...
See, here's the truth. The American government knows, allegedly, that stealing people's data is really fucked up. Or taking people's data the way they are allegedly saying our data is being taken, because they do it too. They just don't want other people to have it.
There's certain components of it that are concerning.
But some TikTok users believe lawmakers missed the mark.
It is like a slap in the face, especially from the U.S. government. I wish they looked at it more as maybe as a different route they could have taken.
Now some are turning to RedNote, an alternative Chinese-owned app.
We've let go of hope, and we're just looking for other channels to move towards at this point to be the most proactive.
Many like Underhill finding other ways to keep people laughing.
We make videos to make people laugh or inspire people, but we can also operate on a different social media and be fine.
Yeah.
All right, and Inauguration Day is set for Monday, which means Donald Trump is going to be left up to the Trump administration to see how this could be enforced. And despite the president-elect supporting a ban of TikTok before, CNN reports that he is considering some sort of executive order to potentially save the app. Reporting live here in Northeast Portland, I'm Victor Park, K2 News.
All right, Victor, thank you.
I would like you to build this. Something boundless. Something new.
Okay, I'm gonna edit this video and then we're gonna post it on TikTok, and hopefully it is not the last thing we post on TikTok for a while. Hopefully TikTok does not get banned and we can actually find it now. Where is it? Under downloads? It's fine. It pulled it up already. Where did it pull it up? Right here. Right here. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. That was my cat. She's also whining. I don't know who's whining more. Her or me. Probably me. Wait. No. What the fuck? Why can't I find it now? Maybe it's on here on downloads? Okay, there we go. I don't know what it's there, but whatever. That's not the right thing. That's fun. I love playing. Where the fuck did my computer download this thing that I needed that took forever? Okay, hold on. Let me chill out for a second. And we can just move it to where it was supposed to be in the first place. And maybe it'll move it and maybe it won't take forever. It's fine. It's cool. It's chill. Everything is fine. It's not even going to take that long. It's already at 30%. Okay, and we can also listen to some music. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, work has literally been so crazy. It's so crazy how it's been nice though, because I've been going in super early. So there are days when like I'm not even there while the store's open for very long, like at all. I'll be there and then I leave at like 10:30 in the morning, 11 a.m. It's nice. Okay, it says it's zip files. So we're going to have to unzip them. But I'm not going to get too excited. Oh. I'm still not going to get too excited. I shouldn't have exited out of that, but I'm still not going to get too excited because I thought that it was all fixed before we even did this. But okay. What's the conflict, brother? What? Okay, that was just frustrating for no reason. Now let's actually see if it's going to put it on there. It's going to be the right... Okay, I'm pretty sure it's the right file.
Decides to take Jeff
there we go.
Instead. My mother stole my boyfriend!
10 years
Your
later.
boyfriend stole my wife. Let's go.
Okay, so how do, oh, that's how. Okay, I was about to say. What part do we need though, and where is this? Okay, yeah, I can just click on it. I've used this before, which is why I'm like, I thought this was already on my computer. But I couldn't remember exactly how to use it. Especially because I thought when you rolled the little thing, it like actually, I don't know, did something. She doesn't do shit. Cause like, this is what I mean. Like, she ain't doing nothing. Okay. Let me pull this up on the screen so I can actually see what's going on over here. And we can, because I was using, so I was doing pre-shower makeup because I was going to take a shower anyways, obviously, because this was earlier today. I did 2 different looks. But I'm going to go ahead and post them. Where was that? Okay, we can play
She
it.
finds him gone, leaving behind a letter explaining that while he does love her, he must fulfill his destiny. Determined to stop him, Haley
to watch me have my drink
alongside the rest of the Smith family to be stoned. Thankfully, Roger's powerful new husband intervened just in time, securing their freedom and their journey back to America. For Haley, Saudi Arabia was already bad enough, with her independence being severely limited, but getting
there we go.
Gets back together with Jeff.
Pause. Okay, and we're going to clip that. I'm not very good at editing, and I don't know if this is something that I'm going to be doing, like, a lot. Okay, that's different than, that's different, but I don't understand, but whatever. Oh, wait, instead of... Okay. I get it.
He'll disguise himself as the scene. But yes, moving on. When the Smiths return to America, Haley gets back together with Jeff. And they stick it out for the rest of season 1, but things don't stay.
I guess we could have used that. It's probably going to take me a while to get used to the different things on here. Ooh, okay. I did it that time.
We can yes, moving on. When the Smiths with marriage. But this is the very idea that's explored in Season 3's Helios. Here she breaks up with Jeff yet again due to a series of nightmares about her childhood, seeing their...
We'll split it there. And then go ahead and... Yes, that's a very convenient button. That's a very convenient button. Maybe I clipped it too quickly or too soon. So let me undo that. And... Ooh. Yeah, that was really fast. Okay.
It was like 2 things.
See, Haley's issues with rejection goes all the way back to her childhood, as we see in a
I don't have to
flashback where she ranked her classroom after a boy liked and flirted with. Then I want to delete school, just a couple seconds. And seeing how getting into another relationship could lead her into getting dumped again and becoming a danger to herself and to those around her.
It's fine.
Stan micromanages her potential dates, making sure that there's absolutely zero chance of them ever breaking up with her.
I can date.
Yeah, I really should stop watching stuff when I'm doing my makeup, especially when I'm trying to record. But something I am gonna also start doing is streaming while I'm getting ready on my phone, and then recording it on my computer, so that way it's already on my computer and then I don't have to deal with like trying to transfer it at all. Actually, I think because it's already getting kind of late, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my hair instead, and then do my nails, and then if we have time we'll do this. If not, I'll just do it right before I go to bed. Because, like, I feel like that's actually kind of boring. And we can watch stuff. I feel like this is going to be... Yeah, I like this idea better. I feel like this is going to be better. Exit. Goodbye. I need to quit doing it that way. I mean, we've already watched a lot of stuff about TikTok. We can watch something else. I mean, we can go back to TikTok, the TikTok ban, which is really frustrating. I actually deleted Instagram off my phone. I'm trying to decide, though. Should I do my nails? Or I think I should do my nails and then I should do my hair. Yeah. And while we watch this, I'm going to be setting up my phone. And then that way you guys can see my nails too.
If you add Los Angeles into it, then you can really do one big, beautiful bill because, frankly, they want that so badly. They want the money to go out there so badly. And I don't think we should do a bill until Los Angeles is included. And when Los Angeles is included, we get everything we want.
Look, you all know me by now. I think you understand that I try not to be too reactionary. I try to be measured. I'm absolutely on the left, but I try to be fair. To this clip, I would say... Fuck this guy. I am sorry, but fuck this guy. This is Donald Trump admitting out loud that by waiting to link disaster relief for California, he'll be able to get his political agenda passed because, quote, they want the money to go out there so badly. If I said what I really thought in response to this statement, this video would probably get my account suspended. And look, he's right that Democrats want the money to get out here so badly because people need it. Because people have lost everything, because their homes and their entire lives have been reduced to rubble and ash. And these are the same people, by the way, who Donald Trump as president will preside over in just a few days. Granted, that's how it should be. In reality, Trump views himself as the president only for those who voted for him. Everything he does is transactional, and he can't comprehend the idea of doing something because it's the right thing to do. He's only interested in doing something if he derives some personal benefit from it. And because California, and Los Angeles specifically, didn't vote for him, he feels zero obligation to help us. And because the fish rots from the head, now the rest of Trump's little minions in the Republican Party are going along with this idea of conditioning disaster relief.
Why should other states be bailing out California for choosing the wrong people to run their state?
We shouldn't be. They got 40 million people in that state, and they voting these imbeciles in office. If you go to California, you run into a lot of Republicans, a lot of good people, and I hate it for them. But they are just overwhelmed by these inner city woke policies with the people that vote for them. They don't deserve anything, to be honest with you, unless they show us they're going to make some changes.
And before we put funds into place, we've got to find out exactly how we're going to hold these leaders accountable and what sort of policy changes are required.
There's going to be hearings. There's going to be requests of Congress. There can't be a blank check on this.
I think there should probably be conditions on that, Dave. That's my personal view.
First of all, imagine being so depraved that you are using this moment to pour salt in the wound of the people who've lost everything, all so that you can squeeze out some political concessions like the debt ceiling. And second of all people, does Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana really want to set the precedent of conditioning disaster relief? Really? Of all states, the Louisiana guy wants to establish this precedent? Granted, he's probably making a gamble that Democrats would never do what he's doing right now, and frankly, he's right, because we are not psychopaths who extort people when they're at their lowest point. But because that asymmetry exists, Mike Johnson knows that he can gleefully strut around and threaten California, knowing full well that his colleagues on the left have a shred of humanity and wouldn't exploit people at their lowest point. But then I guess having a shred of humanity is where the two parties differ. In fact, I asked Governor Gavin Newsom in an exclusive interview for his response to this exact brand of depraved partisan politics. Here's what he had to say.
Can I have your reaction to Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, coming out in support?
They be wildin'. They're so extra. Kilala, Adina. Are y'all playing? Damn. They'd be wild. They'd be wild. Okay. It's time to do my cuticles now, though. And they ran away. They were like, ooh, cuticles. Speaking of which, my cuticles look pretty bad, to be honest. And both my phones are about to die, so let's...
Of establishing the precedent of conditioning disaster relief, and him doing it from the state of Louisiana. Like it's not like this guy's any stranger to what would happen if we start playing politics with disaster relief. So can I have your reaction to that?
I hope it looks in his heart, the pain and suffering of the American people, the trauma that everybody's experiencing in his country. He's the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all, not some who may have a political point of view. By the way, I didn't ask anyone what their political affiliation was when we're down here working to try to protect people in the community from the ravages of these fires and these unprecedented winds. But you know what? Nor did we ever, never in California questioned whether or not we as taxpayers in the largest state in the union should support the people of Louisiana at a time of emergency and need. We never conditioned it. We never talked about putting the full faith and credit of the United States of America with the debt ceiling bill so we can get tax cuts for billionaires and corporations that don't need it, and then put at risk the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans that happen to live in California.
And this, by the way, is California as a donor state, as arguably the biggest donor state in the country.
Yeah, size of 21 state populations combined. A state with millions and millions of Trump supporters, Speaker Johnson. And Mr. President-elect, millions of your supporters are out here. They need your help, they need your empathy, they need your care, whatever compassion you can express, as opposed to condemnation and divisive language that has aided and embedded nothing except mis and disinformation that's flamed fear and flamed a lot of anxiety for folks that are simply trying to recover, and at the same time our first responders trying to address the emergency at hand, which still hasn't been fully buttoned up.
In fact, California officials from Newsom on down have had to use their time not only contending with the catastrophe in the state, but countering disinformation coming from the top of the Republican Party. Because Trump and Elon Musk and Mike Johnson and the rest of these little acolytes decided to use their time not to help, but rather to flame tensions, California officials are now fighting two battles: the worst fire to ever hit the city of Los Angeles, and a disinformation campaign intended to purposefully sow lies and distrust in California's leaders, all because they've committed the crime of having a D next to their names. Here's Gavin Newsom's response to that.
As far as the disinformation efforts go, we have seen that from Mike Johnson, from Trump, from others in the Republican Party. How much of an impediment to your job is contending with disinformation when you should be focused on more important things? Anything else other than that?
At first, the mindset, I'm putting my head down, that's just noise. And then I started realizing with my head down, I'm out in the community, people are reflecting stuff that made no sense. I said, why didn't you send us water? There's no state water. Why do you care about the smell? I said, what are you talking about? And I started to realize this misinformation is impacting people's lives, is actually impacting their ability to trust and reason. And so we started to push back. And yeah, we've had to spend a lot of time putting a fact site up that every couple minutes we're just having to update. I mean, there are people that have millions and millions of views that talk about the fact that somehow this was an intentional fire in order to get rid of tunnels because Donald Trump was going to prosecute everybody out here for pedophile rings. And it got millions of views. And there are actually people out there, reasonable people, God bless them, that are misinformed and start to believe this crap. And so we have to push back. And look, to be in the middle of this, to deal with hurricane force winds that attached to a fire.
And that's the sad
At the
truth.
same time, we're dealing with hurricane force misinformation and intentional disinformation, not just by the President of the United States, but guys like Elon Musk that will platform all this bullshit as well. And forgive my language, that's what it is.
Bullshit is the generous interpretation here. And of course, to watch the full interview with Gavin Newsom, I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. And so look, do I expect Republican officials to have some humanity? Frankly, no, that ship has sailed. They have shown us who they are. But my appeal is to the voters out there, the people of this country. I get that you might not like our politics here in California. I'm not especially partial to your politics in Florida or Mississippi or Louisiana or Tennessee, but not in a million years would I have wanted any of my elected officials to deprive you of help when you needed it. Not after hurricanes or floods or fires or earthquakes or droughts or tornadoes. The bare minimum of what it means to be an American is to show up when people are in trouble, regardless of political affiliation. The fact that Trump can't even manage that, and the fact that his sycophants who've taken up collective residence in his colon are content to gleefully go along with him, puts on full display exactly who they are. It is moments like these that people's true character, who they are at their core, is revealed. These Republicans, led by Trump, just showed us theirs. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising.
That sucks. I don't understand what's wrong with people. This is kind of scary. This is how I need to be.
So I was picking up my son from daycare. We were hit by a pickup truck, and it totaled the car. The first thing I realized.
How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are 2 genders.
I know that well. I'm a she-he, so I'm on board. How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
What the fuck?
That was a Senate confirmation hearing for the prospective Secretary of Defense, man facing all sorts of accusations and allegations of incompetence. The Montana Republican Senator Tim Sheehy was asking Pete Hegseth vitally important questions like how many genders there are and how many push-ups can you do. Hegseth said he did a total of 235 push-ups yesterday morning. We know that he loves being seen doing push-ups, I will say, as you can see in the 2018 on-air contest with the Fox News colleague. Clearly, he's a guy who spends some time in the gym. But of course, Hegseth also specifically told the Senate he did sets of 47 push-ups. And I'll be honest, I was like, that's a weird number for a set. But presumably, right, as a tribute to Donald Trump, who is about to become the 47th president, Hegseth is doing 47 push-ups in the quiet of his hotel room. That's par for the course, I got to say, with this downright weird version of masculinity that MAGA and its boosters are pushing on Americans. You can see it in what people have been calling the vibe shift, right? This odd, to me, off-putting thing happening where cultural figures and business titans are embracing Trump out of all proportion to his 1.5% victory margin, one of the narrowest wins in American electoral history. A huge part of this has been this pathological expression of gender frustration by all kinds of men who seem to think that the real way to be a man is to insult people and endlessly whine about DEI and the unfairness of the world to rich dudes.
Gross.
Of course, at the center of it all, right, the one it begins with is the man himself, Donald Trump, who is fundamentally, more almost than he is anything else, a crybaby. He's a crybaby, endlessly complaining in ever more dramatic language about how much of a victim he is. Trump and his campaign expressly courted the bro vote, if you will, in November. They gave speaking slots at the Republican National Convention to men like Hulk Hogan, UFC owner Dana White, who both embody a kind of cartoonish vision of masculinity that's particularly appealing to adolescent boys. That's where a lot of them make their money. White, who was once caught on tape slapping his wife after she slapped him, has also become fast friends with Facebook billionaire Mark Zuckerberg. Just last week, Zuckerberg put White on the board of directors of Meta, Facebook's parent company. That was the same time that Zuckerberg announced Meta was ending its fact-checking and moderation, in part, he said, because it was offending the fragile sensibilities of men.
I do think a lot of our society has become very, like, I don't even know the right word for it, but it's like kind of like neutered or like emasculated. I do think the corporate culture sort of had swung towards being this somewhat more neutered thing. And I didn't really feel that until I got involved in martial arts, which I think is still a much more masculine culture. I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive.
I mean, look, martial arts, jiu-jitsu in particular, are great, but all that other stuff that's your stuff, bro. According to reporting by the New York Times, Zuckerberg also met late last year with Trump aide Stephen Miller and signals with the Trump team that he would do nothing to obstruct the Trump agenda of fighting DEI, according to 3 people with knowledge of the meeting. And get this, Zuckerberg blamed his former chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, for an inclusivity initiative at Facebook that encouraged employees' self-expression in the workplace. I mean, I have to say, at one level, right, it actually is a perfect example of masculine energy to not own your own decision and instead blame them on a woman who is your subordinate. A lot of men do that a lot. But it's a kind of masculine energy, if you want to call it that, that's pretty damn pathetic. Which is the other weird thing about all these manly men and how they are performing masculinity. Not only does it involve a ton of whining, I mean, a real, like, constant whining and blame shifting, it also involves abject levels of, dare I say, emasculating subservience. All these manly men so eager to submit to the awesome will of Donald Trump, while simultaneously bragging about their superhuman feats, whether it's all the push-ups you can allegedly do in Hegseth's case, or claiming you are one of the best video gamers in the universe, as Elon Musk has recently done.
So are you in the top 20 in the world, or top 20? Wow, in Diablo.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody your handle? No, don't tell them. Don't tell them. It's not worth it.
It's a bold claim, which Musk has made again recently with another game, and hardcore gamers quickly took him apart after watching a live stream of Musk playing that game, in which he committed tons of mistakes that no top-flight gamer would make. Many suggested Musk had hired a ringer to play the games for him or cheated in some other way. Now, Musk's response to the barrage of criticism was to, well, throw a tantrum. To post criticism of one of these gamers who roasted him, take away that gamer's blue check verification on X, a social media site Musk owns. Remember when Musk bought Twitter and said it was totally unfair how they were using blue checks to separate users into lords and peasants? Now the tech titan who complains about the woke mind virus, said his trans daughter is dead to him, is showing just how thin-skinned he really is. I mean, we right now are under the thumb of just desperately thin-skinned, thirsty weirdos who are convinced, as New York Times columnist Jamel Bowie put it, that masculine energy means license to act like a chud in public, as opposed to more traditional notions of public masculinity, such as those that put a premium on the performance of integrity, honesty, honor, and generosity. I read that today, and I was thinking about my grandfather, who is a lifelong conservative Republican, stridently anti-communist, very religious Catholic man, very anti-abortion. And I loved him. I loved my grandfather. And my God, he and I had very different politics and worldviews, certainly around gender, though we never really talked about it. But I will say this for my grandfather, the bear, as we called him. There were 2 character traits he had that I really admired, among many, but 2 I really admired. He was his own man through and through. My grandfather did not bow, and he did not scrape. And he didn't whine. That's the other thing. He did not whine, and he had no tolerance for those who did. If all these psychologically damaged, very powerful men are going to fetishize some throwback conception of manhood, maybe start with that. Be your own man. Don't debase yourself by bending the knee.
I've never tried OPI nail polish, so I'm really excited. But yeah, they're not actually, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that, but like, they're just pretending, okay? They don't actually care about men or issues that real men are dealing with. They don't actually care. They just care about how they feel and their money, and that's it. They don't actually believe in anything. Okay. After we find a video, we're going to go ahead and do the first coat of black, and then we're going to see if we need to do a second coat of black after we let that dry while we watch this, and then we're going to be using this as a top coat. But I'm using this new brand called Hollow Taco. It's been out since October, and I got this one first, and then I got this one, or vice versa, I don't remember. And then I got this recently because I'm not putting anything, like I'm not gluing my nails or like doing press-ons or anything for a while, because I'm going to save some money. And I can use nail polish for my toes and stuff too, so I just want to get something that's like gonna last longer, so I'm gonna look at like Gel X and stuff like that. And we can definitely do streams where it's like dedicated specifically to doing my nails instead of like doing multiple things, because I'm definitely gonna be spending a lot more time doing stuff I want to do and not working as much like that was before. So
we get it.
Especially once
we're
like
parents too, but we here at Rascals make things that you'll actually use.
I don't want to speak too soon.
We are mere days away from President-elect Donald Trump taking office. In fact, he may already be there by the time you watch this video, and the incoming president has already expressed some interesting ideas. American expansionism is on his mind, and 2 territories have established themselves as clear targets for Trump: Greenland and the Panama Canal. Trump has his reasons for having his eyes on both territories. When asked if he would be willing to rule out taking either by force, he gave a cagey response. "I'm not going to commit to that," said the incoming president. "It might be that you'll have to do something. The Panama Canal is vital to our country. We need Greenland for national security purposes." There's a chance that this is just Trump signifying that the US should never rule out going to war with anybody. After all, there's always a chance, no matter how slim, that these territories could turn against the US. Maybe Trump simply doesn't want to rule out military intervention in Panama or Greenland because of that slim chance. Or maybe he has expansion on his mind. Maybe President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for full-scale US military invasions of Greenland and the Panama Canal that would see both territories fall under direct US control. And if that happens, we have some questions. What would the fight look like if Trump used military force to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal? And what would happen in the aftermath of Trump reversing decades of American foreign policy by taking another country's territory? Before we answer those questions, we start with what's happening right now. On January 7th, Trump made his comments about refusing to rule out using military force to acquire either territory. These comments came as a delegation of the president-elect's aides and advisors landed in Greenland, including Donald Trump Jr., as part of an unofficial visit to the autonomous country. That's an important territorial distinction to make. Greenland, though capable of self-rule, is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. That will play a key role in what happens if Trump chooses to invade, as well as what happens afterward. But we'll come back to the Denmark factor later. Right now, the US has no major strategic control over either territory. It has a large military base in Greenland, the Pitufik Space Base. Established in 1941 when the US occupied Greenland as part of the Allies' war against Nazi Germany and the Axis powers in World War II, the base was originally known as the Tula Air Base, until its rebranding in 2023. Regardless, the base stands as America's northernmost military installation and exists thanks to a joint agreement between the US and Denmark. It's home to the 12th Space Warning Squadron and the Satellite Command and Control Division of the 23rd Space Squadron. Together, those squadrons use a solid-state phased array radar to track the skies for missiles. That essentially makes Greenland an early warning system for the US in case an enemy power, such as Russia, launches intercontinental ballistic missiles at America. Greenland has a strategic importance even if the US only controls Pitufik as part of an agreement with Denmark. As for the Panama Canal, that's been under the sole control of Panama since 1999. The US used to control the canal, though it returned it to Panama in 1979. What followed was a 20-year joint partnership in which the US helped Panama govern the strategic waterway until the 1999 full handover. So the US has a history with Greenland and the Panama Canal. And it's possible Trump will use that history as justification for US invasions. Trump is certainly coming out with rhetoric that suggests he has designs on the territories. For instance, Trump posted the following to his Truth Social account before Trump Jr. and the president-elect's aides landed in Greenland. "Don Jr. and my reps landing in Greenland. The reception has been great. They and the free world need safety, security, strength, and peace. This is a deal that must happen. MAGA. Make Greenland great again." Those certainly sound like the words of the president-elect who has his eyes on a particular prize, but they've been met with a more diplomatic response from Denmark. Speaking to Danish broadcaster TV2, the country's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, called the US Denmark's most important and closest ally. She also said that she welcomes the US taking a greater interest in Greenland, though that interest would have to be done in a way that is respectful of the Greenlandic people, while being mindful that Denmark, like the US, is a member of NATO. Trump hasn't been quite as direct with his MAGA rhetoric when it comes to the Panama Canal, but he has made mention of it being vital to the United States, while also inferring that the canal is currently being operated by China. Panama's president, Jose Raul Mulino, has also responded to Trump's comments, saying in no uncertain terms that the sovereignty of our canal is not negotiable and is part of our history of struggle and irreversible conquest. So it's a no to US control from both Greenland and Panama. But this all brings us to an interesting question. Why would Trump want Greenland and the Panama Canal in the first place? We've touched on a couple of these reasons already. Greenland is home to a vital US military base that essentially acts as America's eyes in the sky for incoming missiles. Trump's logic may be that controlling Greenland would allow the US to reinforce that base and create others without having to get permission from Denmark. Greenland would thus become one of America's most important strategic assets in the Arctic, and offer America some control over waterways commonly used by Russia. There's also the melting ice factor to consider. Climate change has led to ice north of Greenland melting, opening up new potential shipping routes upon which the United States, China, and Russia all have their eyes. Trump has practically said as much in the past. "You don't even need binoculars, you look outside," Trump said when referring to Greenland's proximity to the United States. "You have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting that happen." To Trump, gaining control of Greenland doesn't just mean more autonomy when it comes to managing its eyes in the sky. Greenland would give the US the means to somewhat govern the emerging Northwest Passage and, by extension, the shipping that could begin to flow through the passage as more ice melts. Of course, it also helps that Greenland has oil, natural gas, and reserves of up to 31 different minerals, including graphite and lithium, that Trump would love to bring under American control. Graphite and lithium would be especially big gets for Trump. Right now, China controls about 65% of the world's graphite production, with most lithium being mined by China, Chile, and Australia. Having control over some vital rare elements, with lithium being especially important because of its use in electronics, would allow the US to wrest portions of the market for these materials from China.
When I was young, I wanted to be a doctor, but I ended up making oatmeal. I'm Brian Tate. I'm the founder and CEO of Oats Overnight. How many times have you heard that line? So, I was playing poker at the time and just looking to start the day with something healthy that's easy to stick to and tastes good. I was making overnight oats with a little more milk, more protein, almost drinkable, and so I figured I'd try it out as a business. We started out in a really small facility, making about 100 units per day.
Brian's mom was the only fulfillment employee.
Waiting in line at USPS, delivering them in our cars. Flash forward to today, we'll ship, just over 30 million breakfasts this year. We started out as a fitness-focused product, but along the way we saw nurses, we saw teachers, we saw parents really resonating with it, and it was making their day-to-day better.
They always say the most important meal of the day is breakfast.
Having 3 girls at home, it makes it really easy to have like a quick breakfast.
Everybody's got crazy mornings, right? Breakfast is really the first thing that's expendable.
Every single breakfast that we make has the chance of pulling somebody away from that fast food solution.
But it's really just on me to make sure that I do 3 steps at night, and I can do that.
I like that it's gluten-free. Raising a son that has celiac disease is a challenge.
We've worked so hard to make a healthy choice that's also easy.
20 grams of protein in the morning, fiber, using alternative sugars like maple sugar and date powder.
And it's easy.
China. Speaking about China, that brings us back to the Panama Canal. Trump's claims that China controls the Panama Canal aren't completely unfounded. The Hong Kong-based company CK Hutchison currently manages 2 ports near the canal's entrance, which has in the past led to Trump claiming that Panama overcharges American ships using the waterway. Panama was also the first Latin American country to sign up for China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. The BRI is an ambitious project that sees China helping other countries to build infrastructure off the back of loans that China provides. It's often seen as a way for China to build its influence in the countries that become members, a concern that may be on Trump's mind when it comes to Panama. The Atlantic Council says that the US and its partners offer little alternative to China on the investment front in Panama, though it does offer $3.8 billion in foreign investment annually. That places Panama in a tough position. Favor the US to continue securing that aid or move closer to China in the hope that the investment it offers supplants what the US spends on Panama. For his part, Mulino rejects these claims of influence. There is absolutely no Chinese interference or involvement in anything to do with the Panama Canal, claims Panama's president. But that statement may not be enough to dissuade Trump, especially with the BRI and Hong Kong-controlled ports being factored into the equation. According to the trade publication Cargo Now, around 40% of America's container shipping travels through the Panama Canal on its way to other destinations in the world. If Trump truly believes that Panama overcharges the US for this container transit, he may also believe that taking control of the Panama Canal would mean that US shipping becomes cheaper. Maybe American ships would no longer need to pay at all if the canal was under US control. Plus, America would make a major profit by charging ships from other countries whatever it wants to use the waterway. So there are clear benefits to the US taking over both Greenland and the Panama Canal. And the interesting thing is that the US has prior when it comes to both territories. The US military has gotten directly involved in Panama before. In December 1989, thousands of American troops descended on the country by land, air, and sea to oust General Manuel Noriega from his seat of power in Panama. Dubbed Operation Just Cause, the invasion came on the back of Panamanian forces killing a US service member and saw more than 20,000 American soldiers invade the country. The US took control of Panama's key military installations and ousted Noriega, killing at least 514 Panamanian soldiers and civilians in the process. So America has invaded Panama before. It could do it again under Trump. There hasn't been any similar invasion by US forces in Greenland before, but America's interest in the territory is long-standing. Back in 1946, Greenland was still a Danish colony rather than being the autonomous, though still Danish-ruled, territory it is today. The US had seen how valuable the massive island could be, leading to then US President Harry S. Truman making a secret offer of $100 million to buy Greenland from Denmark. The offer was rejected and only came to light in 1991 upon the end of the Cold War, but it set a precedent for the US wanting control of Greenland. Trump has also touched on buying the island before, leading some to believe that he would almost treat such a purchase as one of the real estate deals for which he's most famous. The interest is there. The US would love to control both Greenland and the Panama Canal. The question now is what would happen if Trump follows through on his vague threats of military action. Starting with the fighting itself, neither Greenland nor Panama has much of a chance of standing up to the might of the United States military. According to Global Firepower, or GFP, which ranks the top 145 military nations based on 60 criteria, the US has the world's strongest military. Over 1.3 active members make up its ranks, with another 799,500 in reserve. The US has the world's most powerful air force, with 13,209 aerial assets, about 14% of which are fighter jets that are in easy range of both Panama and Greenland, thanks to America's aerial tanker fleet of 606 planes. These tankers can refuel fighter jets in the air, easily allowing the US to keep its planes above both territories. Add America's 472 asset navy, the second largest by asset amount in the world, and you have a nation that would barely even need to scrape the surface of its massive ground power to cause serious damage to Panama and Greenland. As for the two territories, they don't have a lot to offer in resistance. Panama is protected by the Panamanian Public Forces. They're so small that they present practically no threat to the US. This paramilitary group has 80,000 soldiers and a minimal amount of equipment. The 38 aircraft, 262 military vehicles, and 30 naval assets controlled by the Panamanian Public Forces aren't going to amount to much in the face of US aggression. Panama would also have to deal with the loss of $3.8 billion in foreign investment it receives from the US each year if Trump invades, making those security forces even less effective. Greenland would put up a little bit more of a fight. Though the island doesn't have a military of its own, Danish ownership means that the Danes will be drawn into any fight that the US tries to start. Right now, Greenland is protected by the 1st Squadron of the Royal Danish Navy, though that only amounts to 7 patrol vessels and a royal yacht used for surveillance purposes. Assuming Denmark decides to stand its ground and fight for Greenland rather than capitulating to the US.
Listen, if you've been in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead. That's what I did, and that's how I got this $140,000 check in less than 30 seconds. Listen, I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, if you've been in a car accident, I'm about to turn your world upside down. Because I was in a car accident a few months ago. My car got totaled, and I ended up injuring my arm. It was bad. I had to put work on hold. To make matters worse, of course, the check that insurance offered me was not enough. Wasn't enough to buy a safe, reliable car in this market. But luckily, I was scrolling on my phone late at night and I came across a video just like this one. So we've all heard of AI before. It's so smart, like too smart. Some say it'll even replace humans, but I had never heard of an AI lawyer before. I found this app called the Case Connect Compensation Calculator. Get this, it's 100% free for anyone. I put a link to it in the description below, so check it out. It uses an AI lawyer that's pretty much at the same level as a Harvard Law graduate. It asks 4 simple questions and instantly compares it to over 10 million car accidents, and then tells you immediately if you...
We're just gonna focus on one thing at a time, and we can go back and forth. So let's go ahead and do this second coat, and then we'll pick a video, because it's going to be about 5 minutes. Drying. Okay, that one's probably good. Pause. Let's go back and just go to video. Okay. There we go. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that one's pretty good. We just did the pinky. And I'll use a little bit of nail polish remover on a brush to go around my nails, which that's gonna hurt, but it is what it is. I hope for all my nails. Ooh, yeah. It's going pretty good so far. I'm hoping for all my nails I can just get by on doing 2 coats. I should be able to, because like this nail polish, you're supposed to be able to just do 2 coats, but it also depends on the color, but black is a dark color, so I think that one's supposed to build up pretty fast, and it looks like it is. I feel like pretty confident that after this we can do the top coat. Hopefully doing certain things. I should have used cuticle oil on my nails before I did this, and I also should have dehydrated them, so we'll probably have to redo them pretty soon. But I also need to do research on like how to actually do my nails the right way, which I should know, but the school I went to didn't really teach us much about nails, to be fair. And I've been out of even cosmetology school for a while. It's been a while. It's been at least like 5 or 6 years. Because I stopped doing hair in like 2020. I'm sorry, been like 5 years since then. That's crazy. It's not crazy, it's just wild that it's been that amount of time. It doesn't feel like it, that's for sure. I need to make a to-do list, which I'm still working on my agenda. Look at the difference though. Hold on. Real quick. That's the difference. This one looks more like brown or purplish. This one's definitely more black. I'm gonna put a timer on. Go ahead and put a 5-minute timer on for this hand. I also need to go to like the Dollar Tree, just get some like cheap, or Dollar General to get some like cheap skinny paintbrushes to use for this, because I don't mind like using those for acetone, but I want to use like a nice brush just for getting the nail polish off my cuticles, you know. Oh yeah, we can be listening to music while we're doing the coats. I'm pretty good about like making it fall on my fingernail, but kind of messed up there. Don't judge me too harshly. Like I said, I haven't painted my nails in a really long time, and hopefully somebody will let me paint their nails soon. That'll be good practice. Nail beds are also really fun, which is also part of the reason why I need to take better care of my nails, because my nail plates are like have a lot of ridges, so I either need to find a good base coat or I just need to take way better care of my nails, so that way they'll be like a little bit more smoother and healthy. But I mean, it's genetic, I can't do much about it, so I might just have to find like a ridge filler that works for me. But I also need to be like using cuticle oil more. Like I should have used cuticle oil today before I did this. Yeah. Maybe I should have got the hollow taco nail polish instead of this one. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, we'll put another timer on after that, but we can go ahead and pick something to watch while we wait, because this hand is almost done. It's still tacky in my opinion. Let's see though, and then I'm gonna get the nail polish remover too, and a brush. And a brush.
Welcome to America. What do you think?
The Brutalist is now the Golden Globe winner for Best Picture.
It's ambitious.
A monumental symphony of the immigrant experience. It's an emotional tour de force.
They do not want us here.
Who do you mean?
There are people here.
And the movie of the year.
It is the destination, not the...
China is sending its vice president, Han Zhang, to President-elect Trump's inauguration on Monday. This is the first time a high-ranking Chinese official will attend an American inauguration. Trump originally invited Xi Jinping himself, but the Chinese president will not attend. One of his ambassadors writes this on X. We stand ready to work with the new U.S. government to enhance dialogue and communication, jointly pursue a stable, healthy, and sustainable China-U.S. relationship, and find the right way for the two countries to get along with each other. Trump says he's been in communication with Xi Jinping through representatives. Joining me now is Hudson Institute Senior Fellow, Atlas Organization founder, and the author of The Decisive Decade, Jonathan D.T. Ward, back with us. Jonathan, good to see you. What is your outlook for the U.S.-China relationship under Trump?
Good morning, Maria. Well, one, I think we're going to have a much tougher administration than we had in the Biden years. Obviously, there's a whole lot of important stuff to get done on trade, on cybersecurity, on China's military buildup in the Pacific, on fentanyl. We have a pretty broad spectrum set of things across the entire board that have to get done here. So having an envoy to the
inauguration. I mean, this is sort of Xi Jinping's ceremonial representative. Apparently, he attended the inauguration of King Charles, for example. So he's sent by Xi to go and do ceremonial things. But at the end of the day, there's a broad swath of work that has to be done in this relationship to regain America's prime position in the world, to ensure that we're the top economy with the top military that's ready to push back entirely against Beijing's entire push for dominance. So I think that's what we're going to see to focus on in the next 4 years, is action across the board.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is vintage Trump. You just don't know where the man is going to go. You just do not know how he's thinking or what he's thinking. He's inviting China to the inauguration and then getting ready to slap tariffs on them later on that day. I mean, China has reportedly been stockpiling U.S. soybeans in anticipation of Trump's tariff threats, importing a record 105 million metric tons last year alone, Jonathan. China also reported a trade surplus of nearly $1 trillion for 2024. That's 3 times higher than what it was during 2018, Trump's initial tariffs on imports. China accounting for roughly 27% of worldwide industrial production, according to the Wall Street Journal. And incoming Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent spoke about it during the Senate confirmation hearing yesterday. Watch this.
China is the most imbalanced, unbalanced economy in the history of the world. They are in a severe recession/depression. They are attempting to export their way out of that, as opposed to doing the much-needed internal rebalance. Yep. So, I am with you on the need to open markets, but we cannot allow a player like this to flood our markets or to flood the world.
Jonathan, I thought it was great. I mean, Bessent also noted that the U.S. may want to force China to make catch-up payments for failing to honor the commitments during Trump's first term. They basically said, Bessent basically said China is starting behind the 8 ball. And so what do you think plays out here?
Well, look, he's got that right. We can't allow them to flood world markets. We can't allow them to flood our market. And it's also a giant vulnerability for China. And don't forget, this is all deliberate. I mean, the way that they built that position in the international trading system is through the massive theft of American and allied intellectual property, through converting that into the dominance of specific strategic industries, and also converting that in turn into rising military power. So that entire machine has to be stopped in a sense. I mean, you can't have them flood the global markets. And at the same time, to have $1 trillion in a global trade surplus, most of that is with the U.S. and our allies. So we have an enormous amount of leverage over the trading relationship. And I think that's where we're going to see huge vulnerability. They're very concerned about the tariffs. I mean, that really scares them. And their ability to retaliate against that is somewhat limited, at least in terms of the trade relationship itself. I'd expect there'd be some retaliation against American companies. We've seen them do probes already, and I think they'll do that sort of thing. And American companies are going to have to get out of harm's way in that regard. I mean, they have to be prepared for this sort of situation. But fundamentally, the U.S. Has the upper hand, the potential to regain the upper hand, and we really have to focus on remaining the top economy in the world with no chance of Beijing achieving its long-term dream, going all the way back to Mao Zedong, of surpassing the USA. We can't let them do that, and I think Secretary Bessent understands that, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Now let's talk TikTok. The ban is looming. The deadline is this Sunday. If it's not sold to a U.S. buyer, it's banned. President Trump reportedly considering an executive order to delay the ban, as President Biden reportedly says he will not enforce the law come Sunday. Incoming National Security Advisor Michael Waltz said this: "We will put measures in place to keep TikTok from going dark, and promising Trump will protect Americans' data." Now, some Americans have been flocking to another Chinese app called Red Note. It is more heavily censored, actually, and it's used almost exclusively by Chinese speakers. So why Americans are going on Red Note is beyond me. Jonathan, your reaction?
Sure, and let's not forget what the bill in Congress is really about. It's about the prevention of foreign adversary-controlled applications. So, I don't think we're ultimately going to see a migration of users from from a ByteDance-controlled app to a direct Chinese CCP little red book is what it's called, Red Note. I don't think we're going to see that because this legislation is ultimately broader. You can't just go from one platform to the next. I think people are going to have to follow through on that. And in the first administration, they were very far along in terms of figuring out how to get TikTok into American hands, if I remember correctly. I mean, they had an Oracle bid, they had Microsoft involved. I mean, today you have Kevin O'Leary talking about it, I think, on your show as well. And, so I think there are going to be options here in order to retain the platform, but get ByteDance out of the equation, which has always been the important thing. I mean, we've heard all the arguments about that. I think everybody knows why that's important. And ultimately, you just have to get, you know, Chinese ownership out of the equation on a major now media platform in the U.S. that reaches almost 50% of an entire younger generation. So I think that remains the problem at hand, and there are solutions, some of which were developed in the first Trump administration.
China is accusing the United States of dumping lower-end semiconductor chips into the market. I mean, this is rich, giving its own chip makers an unfair advantage through grants and incentives. The U.S. says Beijing bankrolls its domestic chip firms, a violation of global trade agreements. And the Biden administration rolled out tighter restrictions on semiconductor manufacturing and exports, adding more than 24 Chinese companies to a trade blacklist to slow down China's military and technology capabilities. Jonathan, what about this and the dumping of chips?
Well, look, I mean, we have to keep the focus up on technology. I mean, this is important. You do not want them to have the ability to compete with us on artificial intelligence and other high-end aspects of 21st century technology. I think that has to remain a priority. And at the same time, I mean, yes, it's complete nonsense to hear this from Beijing. I mean, the Chips and Science Act put about $45 billion into our sector, whereas I've heard estimates on Chinese subsidization of its chip makers up to $200 billion. So their entire economy runs on subsidies. I mean, Robert Lighthizer original Section 301 case made totally clear how their economy works. I mean, how intellectual property theft, subsidization, and sort of import substitution, all of that comes together to create the industrial behemoth that we've seen. And we cannot have them, you know, commodifying legacy chips. That would create so much, you know, so many problems across numerable sectors. You know, we can't have that, and we can't have them, you know, flooding our markets in this or any other goods. So again, we've got to continue to target the key sectors, make sure that they're not advancing. We have tons of tools to do that. And then we have to gain the upper hand on the trading relationship and make sure that they are not surpassing us on key technologies, which feed into their military capacity, which, by the way, they're preparing to use in the Pacific. So that's obviously the other big piece of what we're going to have to do on China's strategy.
All right. Great analysis, as always, from you, Jonathan. Thank you. We'll be watching all of this.
Does your internet bill keep getting higher? That's because promo pricing is full of surprises. At Google Fiber, there's no install fee.
I'm not doing a lot right. But I mean, it's all right. We're learning. It's fine.
They were able to ban this app before they were able to do anything about Flint, Michigan. They were able to agree on banning this app before giving aid to Puerto Rico. Forget the medical industry or the fact that they haven't done anything to solve school shootings.
40,000 Americans die every single year because they can't afford fucking health insurance, but our government's worried about an app.
Where is our rage? Where is the anger that should come with this moment?
Literally more worried.
Help, please! Children are dying! Help! How do we stop this?
Okay, gosh, look here, we just signed this. This should help everything. Take it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We needed a real change. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I've already decided if they ban TikTok, I'm opening up a Chinese bank account. Yeah, you don't want them to have my information, I'm gonna fund their fucking country, you stupid whack-ass bitch. Because my thing is this, most of the shit that we buy already comes from China anyways, let's just cut out the middleman.
This app has enabled me to raise over $90,000 for various charities and people in my time here.
Fuck you, U.S. government.
How fucking funny would it be if they ban TikTok and then we all move to the actual Chinese version of TikTok?
You just heard from creators on TikTok who are coming to terms with the fact that the app that they've used for years now is about to be taken away from them for completely arbitrary reasons. And as you saw, they not only reject the bullshit excuses our government used as a justification for this ban, but they also took note of the fact that banning TikTok was prioritized before any meaningful policies that would actually help them survive. So people know what's going on. They're wide-eyed about how corrupt and frankly how evil our government is, and not all of the people that you heard from are even explicitly political, which suggests that a lot of apolitical people are becoming radicalized as a result of this ban, which is ironic since another reason why they said we couldn't have TikTok was because it was supposedly radicalizing us. Turns out, taking it away was the real catalyst for radicalization, so good job, politicians. You played that one real well. But remember, They never wanted to ban the app from us. They said that they wanted to make it better because they care about us and they care about what we want.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
So that turned out to be a load of complete horseshit, predictably so. Now, at the time that I record this video, TikTok is set to be banned on January 19th, which is this Sunday, unfortunately. And as absurd as it sounds to say this, the Supreme Court really was TikTok's last hope. But I'll be honest, it just doesn't look good. And I say this because the Supreme Court heard oral arguments recently about the ban, and here's how that went. As Eloise Goldsmith of Common Dreams explains, during oral arguments, justices across the ideological spectrum asked tough questions of both sides, but the overall tone and thrust appeared to suggest greater skepticism toward the arguments by lawyers for TikTok and its users that the First Amendment barred Congress from enacting the law, according to Friday reporting from the New York Times. Yeah, so they're likely not gonna side with TikTok, even though Donald Trump explicitly asked them to, even if it is for self-serving reasons. But I mean, it was a last-ditch effort, and it's probably not gonna amount to much. With that being said, the silver lining was that the court seemingly wasn't convinced by the idea that the Chinese government might covertly use the app to steal data or manipulate Americans into hating America. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. But the fact that our highest court didn't automatically side with TikTok when this is a pretty clear-cut First Amendment issue kind of shows you how not so supreme the court has become, and this speaks to the illegitimacy of our entire government more broadly. Now, on that note, I do want to get back to the TikTokers here because many of them responded to the notion that the Chinese Communist Party was using TikTok to radicalize them, and one response in particular thoroughly dismantled that argument, and I want to show that for you right now.
Fascist countries ban apps and websites under the guise of threats to national security, when every other country knows it's about suppressing the free speech of its citizens. If the government believes that a single app could, quote from the hearing on the 10th, skew the perspective of American citizens to be anti-American, maybe the real problem is that American citizens are already in such a state of political unrest and unhappiness that our government is scared a single foreign influence could tip the scale and have it all be over. Don't you think that by taking away the, and I quote, key communications channel of Americans, it's gonna make those 170 million Americans a little more anti-American? Maybe Congress knows and understands that. Maybe the government knows that the backlash it will receive from banning TikTok does not outweigh the threats that come with its existence. Not in a matter of national security, but in a matter of being the most popular news and media outlet that the government cannot control, like American-owned broadcasting networks and publications. Maybe if this was actually a national security concern, the government would be banning all Chinese-developed apps, like Shein and Temu, that collect the exact same amount of data as TikTok.
Exactly.
Because maybe it knows TikTok is something special. You can't politically organize on Temu. If TikTok goes dark, the government deliberately and knowingly took away your free speech.
That is precisely it. And what she's saying isn't overly cynical or hyperbolic because multiple politicians have admitted that. For example, Senator Mitt Romney and War Criminal Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed how difficult it is to control the narrative with regard to the Gaza genocide that they're doing, in part because of TikTok. Because when you go on TikTok, it is disproportionately pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. Now, I would argue that that's because people who use the app are young and they're just already pro-Palestine, and they're not becoming pro-Palestine because of the app. The app is pro-Palestine because people who are pro-Palestine are using the app, who happen to be young people. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear straight from the horse's mouth about them admitting that this ban is about controlling the narrative when it comes to genocide.
You have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates. And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok.
So they're not even hiding it. In other words, the victims of a genocide our country is complicit with are sharing unfiltered footage of their pain and suffering on TikTok, among other platforms, and the government doesn't want you to see that because it makes you sympathize with them and it makes our government look bad. And the fact that you're not buying their narrative, since you're hearing straight from the people who are the victims of our government's imperialism and support for genocide, that's a problem for them. And worse, the fact that you're going out of your way to denounce these actions and share information that dismantles their propaganda, that is something that they simply will not allow. So they're banning TikTok, specifically because they want to silence your voice and because TikTok is a direct threat to their legitimacy, period. And it's not lost on people that they prioritized this before addressing so many other more pressing matters, which is something a lot of TikTokers pointed out when they talked about the TikTok ban.
Instead of putting money anywhere useful, an inordinate amount of our money goes towards funding G-sides around the world. People can't afford groceries or rent or healthcare or anything important. And instead of doing anything that's actually productive, the government decided to chop people's income, their source of revenue, their small businesses, their community building, their entertainment, right at the neck. And our mentality is more or less that we'll just kind of keep on trucking because we've always trucked on and we'll just find somewhere else to go, or maybe we won't, we'll make the most of this moment. And like, that's all good and dandy and everything, but where's the rage about that? Don't get me wrong, like I will be making my goodbye videos, I'll be figuring out what other platforms I'm moving to, like I'll be doing all of the things as well. But at the same time, I just wonder, like, when are we going to realize we don't have to live this way, you know?
I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not a politician. I didn't even graduate college. I'm just a musician who's trying to do my part, trying to write songs that actually fucking matter, and at the very least, make people feel less alone. Because I don't know what it looks like to you, but to me, it's looking pretty fucking ugly out here.
I don't want to hear anything ever again from a politician about the economy, about small business or helping working class people, because the amount of jobs and the amount of income that's being taken away from people that use this app every day, all to ensure that these fucking boomers, some of which are being found in elderly homes, get their cut before you get yours, using a xenophobic notion of national security to try and convince you that your data is in safer hands with Musk or Zuckerberg or whoever the fuck.
It's no wonder why people get their news from creators on TikTok. I mean, these people are far more entertaining and knowledgeable and insightful than any drone on mainstream media, and I would much rather listen to them than some talking head on Fox News or MSNBC or CNN. And what they're speaking to here is really important. So in banning TikTok, the government isn't just taking away a source of entertainment for people, they're destroying the livelihoods of millions of Americans. It'd be like if they banned YouTube. It would literally destroy my livelihood because YouTube is my job. And the same is true for people on TikTok. But they are losing their platforms and their livelihoods as a result. And people have used this app to pull themselves out of poverty because they built careers for themselves by being entertaining or insightful. Not to mention so many small businesses, and I mean the actual small businesses, blew up on TikTok because they used it to effectively market themselves. But that's all being taken away from these people like that. And most politicians couldn't care less. They don't care that this ban is going to hurt people. They're just doing something that benefits them and their donors and serves their interests. But I think that this ban could actually come back to bite politicians in the ass one day because, you know, the worse that things become, the more we're going to need apps like TikTok that do entertain us, even though it's much more than an app for entertainment. But we need distractions. We need things to get us through this dystopian hellscape that we're all living through. But if we keep losing things that we love and we don't have as many distractions as we used to, that's when society starts to break down. That's when, you know, things get much worse. And I think that that's what these short-sighted politicians
It's really frustrating. I don't think they understand that. Like, eventually they're gonna be like, oh, wait, we messed up. We want you guys to be distracted by this app. basically, I'm gonna blow dry my hair, and then I'm gonna quickly flip the ends under and put it in this thing, and then it's gonna be bedtime. good enough.
Growing up in New York, you could say I was a default liberal. My political opinions, to the extent I had them, weren't deeply thought out. They just were. My philosophy was live and let live.
Time could be running out for TikTok, the app now considering a total shutdown for American users if that ban goes into effect on Sunday. But there are still last-minute efforts underway right now to save the app for U.S. users. NBC News learning Biden White House officials are looking for ways to keep TikTok available even if the ban goes into effect. Also, Justin, TikTok CEO Shou Chew has now accepted an invitation to attend President-elect Trump's inauguration. That's the day after the ban is set to go into effect. Kate Nibbs is the Wired senior writer and joining us now with more on this. Kate, we've heard a couple of possibilities for what could happen if this ban goes into effect, but we're also learning that people aren't waiting around. They're already jumping to new platforms, Lemonade, Redbook. What do we know about those moves, those platforms, and are they really any less a risk?
So those platforms have really spiked in popularity since people realized that the TikTok ban was likely really happening. And Lemonade is actually also owned by ByteDance. So any giant migration there will likely be short-lived because that would also be affected by this ban. Redbook is actually another Chinese video and photo sharing app, and it's experienced a massive surge in popularity. Like over 700,000 Americans have joined, which is impressive because it's largely in Mandarin. And it's just, I think, evidence that Americans are quite keen to stay on foreign-owned social platforms if they like what they're doing over there.
So what do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
I was convinced that there wouldn't be a ban, that somehow the Biden administration or President Trump would figure out a way out. But I won't be surprised if TikTok actually shuts the app down, which is what it did in India in 2020 when it faced a similar government ban.
So many people get their news from social media now. More than half of TikTok adult users say they regularly get their news on that app, according to a recent poll. I just can't help but wonder, is the devil we know better than the devil we don't? How do you see it?
I mean, I really don't think that TikTok should be banned. I think this is going to be a disaster for the United States in several different ways. You know, for starters, it's really a betrayal of the United States' long-standing commitment to having an open internet. I think it's also going to, frankly, erode public trust further in institutions because the ban is, I think, a little illogical. You know, we're still jump to different Chinese-owned apps now. Are we going to start banning them all? It's just, it's a really wild moment.
Well, we're still waiting on the Supreme Court to issue its ruling on whether this ban is constitutional. So, Kate Nibbs, conversation to be continued. Thanks for joining us.
It's literally against your freedom of speech, which Republicans are trying to talk about all the time or throwing around for a reason.
So you still don't believe you can get Nubia's permanent teeth in 24 hours? Well, we brought in one of our patients, Cassie, to give you the rundown.
This whole thing was done in 7 days from the initial phone call.
The Supreme Court upholds a law that could lead to TikTok being banned in the U.S. as soon as tomorrow. That is, unless it's sold to a company here in the U.S. Fox News multimedia reporter Olivia Economies tells us this has some creators and small business owners worried.
Business owners I spoke with said they're nervous and they've already started moving their online presence to other platforms before the ban.
We haven't had to even explore like other platforms or options because TikTok has propelled it to sell us out every time we stop.
Jana Rogers and her husband built their tea company with the community they grew on TikTok, and they now rely on the app.
Probably somewhere around like 60 to 70% of our family's income comes from all social media, which is primarily TikTok at this point driven.
Single flavor packets are now available in 30 flavors.
She's unsure what'll happen if a ban takes effect.
I don't know what that's going to result in other platforms. I don't know how it will translate.
Last year, President Biden signed a law giving the government authority to ban foreign-owned apps that pose a national security threat. The Supreme Court recently heard arguments over whether the ban is constitutional. This is all because of the concerns the Chinese government could access Americans' personal data through TikTok and use it to spread misinformation. As creators brace for the possibility of TikTok's shutdown, many, like Madison Raleigh, are trying other Chinese apps like Xiaohongshu or RedNote.
With RedNote, from what I hear, it's an amazing algorithm. It functions very similarly, but I also feel like you're not having that global reach because it is primarily Chinese and now American as your main audiences.
But making money on that app isn't guaranteed, and RedNote could also find themselves in jeopardy if they're considered a national security threat.
I definitely know the market. Wherever one app closes, another app doors open. So wherever the majority of my audience goes, I'll likely follow suit.
There are a lot of questions about workarounds for U.S. users, like using a VPN, but it's still unclear what exactly we'll see on the app come Sunday. In St. Louis, Missouri, Oliviana Calmes, Fox News.
Looking ahead, you want to say so long to TikTok? Well, you may want to head to Piedmont Park tomorrow. We're expecting to see a big crowd for TikTok in the park. TikTok fans are using the event as a possible final goodbye to the popular app. A promoter we spoke with says there will be lots of music, food, and entertainment.
Most homeowners have it somewhere in their house. It's that one bad window. It's drafty, or maybe it sticks or leaks. Bottom line, you'd love to replace it, but think, no company is coming out for just one lousy window. And truthfully, most companies won't. But we're Renewal by Andersen, and we're proud not to be like most companies. We'll replace just one window. Yep, that really terrible one. And believe it or not, replacing just your worst window can really improve your home's comfort and energy efficiency. Here's a one-window customer.
Yeah, because
looks great.
If they can get
Another one-window job.
Able to talk to you into replacing more that are messed up.
TikTok's future in the U.S. does not look promising.
Today, the Supreme Court cleared the way for a ban passed by Congress to stay. The app is set to be banned Sunday. First Alert 6, Philip Katafamo shares who could have the final say.
Carol Irie is known on TikTok as the North Omaha Cat Lady. The Omaha native began creating content for the platform during the pandemic, finding joy in creating videos without any previous experience. In that time, she's amassed a following of more than 3 million followers.
Everything from social justice to political, food videos, food reaction videos, cat videos, just everyday happenings.
Carol says she's built quite the community in the last 4 years. She says she's connected with people all over the world through her content.
A young man, and he reached out to me and through Instagram, and he said that he had been considering committing suicide, and one of my videos, he did not tell me which one, apparently touched him somehow, and he sought help. And the ironic thing is, he's in Northern Ireland.
Creators like Carol could see their content vanish if the U.S. decides to ban the app. Previously, Congress passed a law requiring China-based ByteDance to sell TikTok by this Sunday. Thursday night, President Biden said he would not enforce the ban, but Friday morning, the Supreme Court ruled to uphold it. In addition to Biden's comments, President-elect Trump has also said he won't enforce the law. So the question remains, who gets the final say?
So it really comes down to the private decisions of companies like Apple and Google over the next several days, whether they feel comfortable taking actions that clearly would violate an existing federal law, even though they've been told they, at least at this point, won't be prosecuted.
The High Court says the First Amendment does not apply because ByteDance is a foreign company. And if the First Amendment did apply, justices still believe the law is constitutional because of the app's collection of user data and its potential threat to national security. But the U.S. government is not totally powerless in this decision.
They could have done something and still could. Tonight, they could pass, House, Senate, pass a law, very small law. We repeal the law we enacted just a couple of years ago. So technically, yes, if nobody else does anything, Apple and Google, the ball's in their court. But in the bigger picture, Congress and the president have roles to play and shouldn't be able to avoid that responsibility.
Similar to Carol Irie, Learning Express Toys and Gifts also started a TikTok account during COVID, creating fun trend-based videos and showcasing store items.
It really was nice to see a platform that we could reach out to the younger crowds with, because we could never do that with anything else. We tried with YouTube, and it just didn't work for us.
Hines says the app has helped bring people to the store. She believes losing TikTok could hurt business, but says they're open to moving to a similar app.
But unfortunately, nothing's going to be the same, with 5 years of building up that customer base and that fan base of over 300,000 followers.
For now, it's a waiting game as the clock ticks down towards this weekend's deadline. In Omaha, I'm Philip Katafamo, First Alert 6.
This afternoon, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen releasing this statement in response to the Supreme Court's decision today. It says in part, quote, TikTok is a massive national security threat and nothing but a tool for the Chinese Communist Party in its war against our way of life and to manipulate our kids.
One night, after staying back late at his clinic doing admin, Dr. Tom was buried alive by a patient notes. It was that exact moment that Tom had an idea. And yeah, turned out to be a pretty good idea. Clinicians, say goodbye to painful note-taking and admin.
Sounds like at best, at best, it won't go through, at all.
You've heard of Bigfoot being airdropped by aliens onto Earth. You've heard of aliens causing the Great Flood on purpose to start over their genetic mutations that would create mankind, a hybrid between...
TikTok's future in the U.S.
Up, and then I'm going to wrap my hair, and then we'll be ending stream. We can also look at...
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 2:38 on the East Coast and 11:38 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. I do want to take you out to this post here coming in from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over in Israel. Now, as we are just hours away from the start of that ceasefire, you can see there on your screen that he did have a statement saying it might be in jeopardy. We know this has all been very, very fragile, but he says, quote, "We will be unable to move forward with the framework until we receive the list of the hostages who will be released as we agreed. Israel will not tolerate violations of the agreement. Hamas is solely responsible." Again, that ceasefire just hours away from being expected to actually begin. It's going to be an overnight situation. However, now there are more questions than answers. I do want to bring in Mark Chandler, the Director of Government Relations and a Professor of Practice at Coastal Carolina University, also a former senior defense intelligence official. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today and kind of break down this and all of the other developments in the Middle East.
You're welcome, Josh. Good afternoon, and we're going to give it a shot to break it down anyway.
For sure. And first off, I do want to ask you about this statement from Netanyahu. What do you make of that overall?
Well, one, I think it's an important statement that he made because even though this starts in less than 12 hours, Hamas has already missed a critical deadline, and that is the release of the names of the hostages that are supposed to be released tomorrow. I mean, that already shows some not breakdown in the agreement, but at least some lack of sincerity on Hamas's part as we go through. And I think it's good that Netanyahu pointed out that Hamas is already kind of not fulfilling their end of the bargain.
And I have to ask, because there are concerns about Hamas upholding the terms of the bargain, because if we think back, we remember that the first ceasefire that took place, it was Hamas that broke the terms, and that's why no more hostages were released. So is that maybe the biggest concern at this point?
Well, I think Hamas is already not setting out on a good foot as we start to move through, especially less than 12 hours before the agreement goes into effect. But I have to, let me just say I'm cautiously optimistic this time. But I'm also a realist. And when I talk about that, we're talking about negotiating with a terrorist organization whose desire is to wipe Israel and all Jews from the face of the earth. So looking at that, I have to kind of say, okay, let's hope, which is not a good plan, but let's hope that they're going to follow through with this. And I think what we're going to see, and I'll go over the details in a moment, but when you look at the first phase, which lasts 42 days, we're talking 16 days is critical. 42 days is a long time for a negotiation like this. And I think actually Hamas is going to use this ceasefire to resupply, refit, and move its fighters around so that if they do back out, they're ready to go after Israel with some force immediately upon backing out of the deal.
And going in reverse a little bit, you touched on this, but I do want to go over some of the terms because a lot of folks have heard about all of this, but kind of in bits and pieces. So can you explain the overall terms of the agreement between Israel and Hamas?
Well, there's 3 phases that they've identified through the negotiations out of Qatar. The first phase, as we have talked about, begins 8:30 tomorrow. And in that, by 4 p.m. tomorrow, the first set of hostages are supposed to be released. And that's 3 Israeli women, are all the indications that we have. But in exchange for that, out of the entire first phase operation, 33 total hostages are supposed to be released. Unfortunately, not all of those are going to be alive. And so we don't know the breakdown because right at this time, Hamas holds 94 hostages. It's estimated by Israel that 34 of those are dead. So we don't know the breakout of those hostages that will be released in that first 42 days. And so in addition to that, the order of release goes women, sick, and men over 50. So again, let's look at the breakdown, and Hamas hasn't started. Also in phase 1, starting tomorrow, aid convoys get to start to travel into Gaza. There's tons of aid lined up on the Egyptian side of the Sinai, and they're ready to start to roll in tomorrow. Now, Israel will pull its forces back. When I say back, they're going to pull to the borders of Gaza and establish a wide buffer zone, one that's wider than it was before Hamas invaded. And so we'll do that. Israel does, and this is important because it's what Netanyahu wanted, does get to remain in the Philadelphia corridor. That's the southern area where Hamas was able to smuggle a lot of fighters and weapons all through that area. So there's some semblance of security for Israel. Now, Palestinians will be allowed to go back to the north in this first phase, but no armed men. But this one caught me off guard, though. Israel is allowing Hamas security to patrol and try to maintain security as long as they're in some semblance of the police uniforms, Hamas police uniforms. So we'll see how that develops. On day 16 is when they start the negotiations for phase 2. And in phase 2, hopefully the remaining 94 hostages can be released, but then they try to set everything up for phase 4, a further Israeli military withdrawal. We have to have security establishments set up there, more supplies going in. And then phase 3, really, that's the one that's drawn out. That's going to take years to implement. That's rebuilding. That's future governance in Gaza. Who's going to govern it? The Palestinian Authority, Hamas, Fatah. All that has to be worked out. And so you're really talking a lot of work in the next 6 weeks that has to go to try to set this thing up for success.
One thing that we heard from President Biden as he announced the deal several days ago and said that it was moving forward is that he was hopeful this would bring an end to the Gaza war altogether. But does it appear that Israel is ready for the war to end?
Well, we're already talking about the end of a war, and Hamas is breaking the arrangement already. I have to say that even though I'm cautiously optimistic, Josh, I don't think this is the end of the war. Number one, Hamas hasn't proven itself a trustworthy negotiator. They are a terrorist organization. So really what I think you're going to see, if we make it to day 42, that's going to be critical. If we make it to day 42 and Hamas is allowed to regenerate, as I said, and reorganize its fighting forces, you're probably going to see some low-level fighting continue. You have to realize Israel has not reached its objectives that Netanyahu set in October of 23 after the Hamas attack, and that's eradicating Hamas, which unfortunately is about impossible for a military organization to do. So that's still hanging over their head. You still have the security for Israel. You still have Hamas's stated objectives to eradicate Israel and Israelis and Jews. So you're looking at an environment that I don't think is going to be conducive to a lasting peace. I'm just hoping we can get to day 42. But I don't think President Biden was correct when he said it's the end of the war.
What about the timing of the deal overall? There's been a lot of discussion as to whether it was President Biden or President-elect Donald Trump that really helped to broker this deal. We're talking about a deal that begins the day before Trump's inauguration. What do you make of the timing?
Well, I think the timing's very interesting. And to be honest, from what I've been able to understand out of Gutter and some of the sources that are talking behind the scenes there, it really was the addition of the Trump administration representatives that started to push this in behind the scenes. Now, both the Biden administration and Trump representatives were there in these latest negotiations in Gutter, but it seemed to be that the Trump administration folks were really pushing both sides, both Netanyahu's folks and the Hamas representatives, harder to reach this deal. I will note that it's interesting, and your question obviously begs that, of why now, when this is virtually the same deal that was on the table in December of 23. So I know President Biden spoke and said this was his deal back in May. That's simply not true. This goes all the way back to December 23, when everything fell apart, like you said earlier, when Hamas backed out of the deal. So I do think that Netanyahu, he's taken a big political risk, is feeling supported now by the incoming Trump administration. So that if Hamas backs out this time, he knows he'll have United States strong support to go in and do what it takes to go get those hostages and eradicate Hamas. And I think Hamas realizes that as well. So both sides are probably seeing the pressure come in, are being set by the coming administration.
And my last question for you here, I don't want to leave you without talking about one of the topics that we always do, and that's the Houthis. So where do things stand with the Houthis and Israel? Has that calmed down, or are we just not hearing as much about it right now?
Well, I think it's a very interesting question today, Josh, considering the Houthis launched 2 ballistic missiles overnight against Israel. Both of them were intercepted by the Israeli Air Force. But if I go back to the earlier part of this week, you have to look at the situation where on Monday, the Houthis launched 2 attacks against Israel, and then on Tuesday, they followed it up with more attacks. And that's interesting because back on 10 January, the United States, Britain, and Israel all conducted coordinated airstrikes against a lot of Houthi targets, munition storage areas, command and control, port facilities. And you would think that that would start to dampen what the Houthis are doing, but obviously not. They still maintain the capability to launch these attacks. They're going to continue to launch these attacks. They've even said they will support Hamas all the way. And Iran, that's about one of the last things Iran has that they can continue to put pressure on, is using the Houthis as one of their proxies out there.
All right. Mark Chandler, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help discuss this further. Anything else you want to add about really any of what's going on in the Middle East before I let you go?
Well, Josh, I appreciate it. You know, we're focused right now on this hostage deal, and I think that's important. It's a very emotional thing for the Israeli population, especially the families of the hostages. We're focused there. You talked about the Houthis, but let's not forget there is a ceasefire that's supposed to be fully implemented on January 26th up on the northern border, and that's with Hezbollah. And so there's been some fighting back and forth, but actually I think this ceasefire is holding rather strongly. Now today, the Hezbollah leader came out and chastised Israel, said they're violating the ceasefire, but that's actually not true. Hezbollah forces remain in the south, but I think Lebanon, under its new government, its new president, they are starting to move their military forces into the south, below the Litani River and above the Israeli border. We need to get all of Hezbollah out of there, but I think we're making progress on the northern front, which is going to be good because you could have a more calm north and south for Israel, which is something they haven't seen in over 15 months.
All right. Mark Chandler, thank you again for taking the time to join us. We always appreciate your expertise, so thank you again.
You're welcome, Josh. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. And I do want to take you out to this video, and viewer discretion is advised as we continue to follow the breaking news out of the Middle East here. One person critically injured and a terrorist shot dead during a stabbing attack in central Tel Aviv this afternoon. The limited information that we have is coming from police on the scene, speaking with the Times of Israel. This right here is surveillance video obtained by Trey Yanks with Fox News. showing the 19-year-old terrorist attacking people standing on a sidewalk outside of a restaurant in Tel Aviv, stabbing at least one person and then taking off. You kind of see him run off and out of frame. After he's out of that frame, police say he was shot dead by an armed Israeli civilian. Investigators have now labeled this a terror attack and add the victim, a man in his 30s, remains in serious condition at an Israeli hospital. Initially, he was listed in critical, but we are told that has been upgraded, so to speak, to serious. And police say the terror suspect is from the West Bank, again, 19 years old, shot and killed by a civilian who was nearby. This all happening, of course, hours before that fragile ceasefire set to go into effect between Israel and Hamas amid the Gaza war. Again, viewer discretion advised, as you can see that video coming in from Trey Yingst with Fox News, and it does appear to be some of that CCTV video showing it all outside of a restaurant.
Even a lot of Trump supporters support Luigi, which is kind of funny. It's supposed to get cold, but then I keep seeing it might snow. I don't think it's gonna snow, but then again, it kind of looks like it might.
Everyone uses the internet.
We'll see. We're about to go to bed anyway.
In one way or another. And we believe your internet should be built for how you use it. So we're reimagining internet. Now based on how you internet.
We are getting you ready for our inbound winter storm early next week, but if you're heading out this evening for your Saturday, we still have a couple of showers. It's been a very warm day in the 70s. It certainly doesn't feel like there's a winter storm inbound, but you can notice radar still tracking a couple of these showers. They're going to be with us this evening. Now, the colder air starts to filter in.
I thought I saw Nashville stuff.
All right, let's talk about your weather after 2 really nice days. Little birdie told me it is now raining, at least in Nashville.
It is, and you know, things are really going to start to change. We had 62 degrees earlier this afternoon.
Oh, man.
And it was a dry air kind of that we had in place. It was a beautiful day, but now the cold air is going to be coming
It's like a little wild card in the middle of winter.
And you know, I'll take it. I wish we had a couple more of these, but I think a lot of January is just, we're going to finish out the month pretty cool. Even looking ahead towards the following week, the last week of January, it's still looking like we're going to see a better chance for below normal temperatures across Tennessee and Kentucky. So we're going to finish out probably January pretty chilly, especially this upcoming week. Radar is still showing a few of these showers going on right now. Here's this cold front, though. It's still back out to the west a little bit. So these are the showers that we're getting while it's still, we'll say, warm right now. And that cold air is not in place yet. So this is all just going to be rain showers. No sort of winter weather as we head through the overnight hours tonight. No bad weather with any of this either. No severe weather, no lightning strikes recorded either with any of this that has been moving in. So you'll see most of the rainfall kind of along and west of Interstate 65, also down here along the Tennessee and Kentucky state line. A few showers over here along the plateau, but that's going to continue to fill in as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Moving on into tomorrow night, once that cold air finally gets here behind that cold front, we could see a little bit of snow falling, just not expecting a lot. Everybody in this shade of blue, I think just a very light dusting, maybe at most up to about a ½ inch of snow. I think that's going to kind of be the not more common thing, though. It's really going to be closer to that 1/10 of an inch number over there. And then for the purple area around the plateau, we could see slightly higher snowfall totals there, maybe a ½ inch going up to about an inch or so. That's where we should see a little bit of the higher snowfall amounts. I really don't think much of that, though, should cause you any sort of issues. Also, not going to be looking at any sort of refreeze, it doesn't look like right now, as we head on into Saturday night into Sunday morning. So that's more good news. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But just showing you some of these snowfall totals again, this is going to be pretty light. The ground is still pretty warm right now, and that cold air is not even here yet. So it's going to have to kind of do a lot pretty quickly once that cold air finally finally moves in. The cold air will be the big story for us. This is just going to be dangerously cold air as we head on into early this upcoming week. It'll start to move in Sunday for sure, and then Monday and Tuesday, it'll really settle in. We'll be looking at temperatures only in the 20s here in Nashville for Monday and Tuesday, and then looking ahead to the next weekend, we could see another round of pretty chilly air move in. Still several days.
All right, I have to find something to cover my hair, and it's definitely a little late, but and it definitely sounds like it's raining a little bit, but I'm gonna try and stream tomorrow. We're gonna say 8 p.m. So that way I have plenty of wiggle room. But it's been good. Gonna definitely redo these nails at some point. I'm probably gonna exchange this nail polish for a different one, just because I don't know. I didn't like it. I mean, I definitely didn't do something right, but I definitely didn't like it either. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully TikTok does not get banned and I have time to post my stuff, but I definitely need to find a faster / better way to edit stuff for TikTok. But I will see you guys later. Bye.